Welcome to today's webinar, and this is a webinar that will be sort of an overview of ClubExpress and how it relates to club and organization needs for association management systems, geared towards either people who are looking at association management systems or are new to ClubExpress and want to get a pretty good overview of what it can do for you and your organization. So we'll have a little introduction. Bob is going to do a demonstration, and then if we have any questions that haven't already been asked along the way, we'll do a Q&A. The recording of this webinar and tutorials are available on the ClubExpress page. You go to clubexpress.com, you click on the Cool Stuff link at the top of the page. Then on the left-hand side, there's a tab list, and at the bottom is webinars, and above that is video tutorials. If you go to the webinars, you'll see the recorded webinars at the bottom of the page with recent webinars and webinars by function. And if you go to the video tutorials, you'll see the recent videos and also by function. And you can also get to the tutorials by going to the support tab in your control panel. From there, you'll see that same list of tutorial videos. Now, I'm going to turn this over to Bob in a moment, and he's going to talk a little bit about the challenges facing membership organizations and give a little high level there. And then after he does that, he's going to go into demonstration of some of these areas. There's an awful lot to cover here, and it's unlikely that we'll cover it all. But these are some of the things, the public area versus the private areas, how membership renewals are handled, things like that. So let me do this. I'm going to spotlight Bob and let him talk. So we'll see Bob's smiling face.
So Alan talked about some of the high-level things that I'm going to do. There are many challenges that face membership organizations today. I want to cover some of those. I want to go into how association management systems, club management systems can help overcome those challenges, making things easier for you to manage your organization day to day. In doing that, we'll use ClubExpress, but this is generally applicable to most association management systems with a number of exceptions, which I'll try to point out as we go through here. Obviously, if you're going to make a move and you're considering ClubExpress, we'd like you to consider us over the others. So why is that important? What does ClubExpress have to offer that some of the others may not? When we think about the top challenges that membership organizations face today, member engagement absolutely tops the list. What I hear as I talk to associations all around the world is getting people to join is challenging, particularly for the new generations out there that are into social media and don't necessarily engage in websites as much. But retaining members is also a challenge. Once someone joins, how do you keep them involved so when it comes around to time to renewing, people actually renew their membership and pay you for an additional year or 2 years or 5 years or the month or however you set it up? The second big challenge that people face is in the administrative side. So how much time, and you need to ask yourself this, are you spending administrating your members? Many association management systems provide you the tools that you need to communicate with your members, to bring together social media with your website, to allow your members to engage with each other. In some cases, an association management offers APIs. An API is a tool that allows you to take their association management system and use another tool like an email blast system like MailChimp or Constant Contact to bring those databases together so that you can have your membership database in one place and then push it over into another tool to allow them to engage with you, to allow you to send emails. Another example would be something like Eventbrite, which integrates with many association management systems so that you can manage your events. And there are lots of tools out there like that, versus other systems that have those built in. The benefits you offer your members, millennial expectations. Millennials are more engaged in social media than they are necessarily in websites. So how do you get them to use your website, or how do you get the two to work together? And probably one of the most challenging I hear about people, I'm getting more and more questions about today, is people are migrating from using computers, from using laptops, over to using mobile devices. So does your association management systems as a website component actually optimize correctly for a mobile device? So will it display correctly? Is there a mobile app available? So today, and I'm not going to read this to you, you can see this, but I'm going to talk about how the right association management system can help give you back time. Today, people spend a lot of time administrating the back end of their websites, of their association management systems. They manage spreadsheets. How do we get rid of all that so that it makes it easier for you? So much is automated. You don't have to engage between different systems and different tools, manage spreadsheets. This all saves you time and money and allows you to help engage your members more in your association, creating more value for them. There are large associations out there. I always like using the example, the American Medical Associations, with thousands and thousands and thousands of members, tens of thousands of members. They have very specific needs. And there are tools out there, there are association management systems out there that are highly customizable, but also very expensive. You know, for tens of thousands of dollars, they'll set something up for you. For thousands and thousands of dollars a month, they'll maintain the system for you, but even they offer APIs that bring in other tools to do certain things. So you're still managing multiple databases. What a small association needs are the same features that a large association needs, but they may not have the same specific detailed requirements. You can get away with something that's a little more generic. Something that allows you to build and launch in a relatively short time using limited resources with reasonable startup costs, that's flexible, that's easy to learn, particularly, and I'll talk about this later on, as you transition, your board turns over, you have a new person come on, you want to administrate a part of the organization. How difficult is it for them to learn? And in particular, many associations and smaller associations may not have technical people. So how easy is it for an administrator of the platform, of the system, to learn, as well as how easy is it for your member to learn? How technical do they have to be? One of the things you're going to see as we go through this, and I'm going to launch into the demonstration after we finish the slide, is everything that we do here makes it easy for you, for your members, and for your prospective members to be able to do what they need to do within the system. I'm going to shift over to a demonstration website. This is a fictitious association, and it is using the live platform, the ClubExpress platform. So we're going to see if you are a customer of ours, if you are a prospective customer, this is exactly what you're going to have, same tools, same resources. It will work exactly the same way. It just may look different because obviously your website design will look different than what I'm going to show you. So once again, this is a fictitious association, but this is the ClubExpress platform. So it's a tool that we use in demonstrations. You may have seen this before if you actually had a live demonstration from one of our salespeople, or you may have found this on our website. We do list this on, I believe, the bottom of the website. There is a link to something called Demo Club where you can actually log into this and play around with it. We are looking at just a typical website, and websites can be designed to look like anything. So I always stress to people, if you look at this and you say, gee, this doesn't look anything like what I want, don't worry about it. Websites can look like anything you want. Everything is just done using the tools internally, or we can build something to your specifications, but we are not logged in. So if you see my mouse moving, or to see a member login button, and because this is the public version of the website, you have complete control over what you allow them to see. Now I've got just some things shown up here that a typical association or club might use. You'd want a join button, you'd want maybe a page that says about us, a link to your calendar, you may take donations, you may display other things. That's entirely up to you. We talked about social media. So the most widely used social media platforms are things like Facebook or Twitter. Some use LinkedIn, some use Instagram. We provide tools that allow you to pull the feed from your Twitter page, from your Facebook page, directly onto your website. So anytime you update your Facebook page, or in this case, your Twitter page, this will automatically update without your needing to go in and do anything. So here, the Wall Street Journal last posted a tweet 10 minutes ago. And that's a widget. A widget is a tool that you can just drop something into the home page or into any page on your website that does some function without you needing to update it. There are advantages to that. For example, here in the upcoming week, here is a test event that was created by one of our developers that's available to the public. As you see when we log in, there are going to be more things that are going to appear there because your members may be invited to things that the public are not. Again, an advantage to your members. So I've now logged in and a few things have happened. Number one, you see right up, actually the most apparent thing is this pop-up. The person I've logged in as, Martin Smith, owes the association some money. So it lets him know right up front that he can make a payment right here. Integrated payment is something very important to any small association or any club. So a member can do this on their own without you having to go in and mark things as paid. Once they pay it, this will go away, and we'll see that as we go through it. I've closed it, but the other thing to notice here, where I've logged in, we now have Martin's name. There's a red $sign there. That red $sign indicates to Martin that he still has an open balance on his account, and that will persist until he pays that balance. I'll come back to that later. With your members, in order to keep yourself as an administrator of the group from spending too much time doing the administrative task, an association management system should give your members the ability to self-service, to self-manage themselves. When I hover over Martin's name, one of the links you see here is to his profile, which we're going to go to in a moment, where he can manage his membership, he can manage his contact information, he can change his email address, he can see his history, his receipts that has incurred over the years. So it gets you out of that business of doing it for them and puts it in their hands. And I'll come back to that in a second. The other thing that's changed when we went in here is the menu. The menu just had those few items. If you remember, it had home, about us, events, donations, I think there was contact us. Now, we've got a few more items, and there's this whole long list of things that members can do. In the interest of design, I am not a designer. And I know that I would never create a menu that had this many things in a drop-down, but I do this specifically in demonstrations, so you may see something that I hadn't planned to cover and say, hey, can you show me this? That's all I'm going to say about that. So let's go into Martin's profile. So one of the things a member should be able to do if you've got a strong association management system is see their history, manage their information, maintain their own account without you having to need to. So again, you see a payment due button here, which will open up his ability to pay, which we'll get into in a moment. This is the live system. So we take extreme care not to put live email addresses in. One of the things this good association management system will do is when your member transacts with the system, it will send them an automated email without your needing to do so, letting them know they've renewed their membership, letting them know they've registered for an event, letting them know that an event they've registered for is going to happen in X number of days so they shouldn't forget. So I take care not to put real email addresses in here, because if I were to put your email address in and register for an event that costs $100, you're going to get a bill. We don't want to do that. If I click on contact information, the information that Martin put in is available for him to update. So if, for example, and there is really no Martin at ClubExpress, so there's a fake email address. If I were to change this to test at clubexpress.com or make some other change to something in here and then save it, it is immediate. So as soon as I go back into that, we see this, it no longer says Martin, it says test. What that means to you as an administrator is if 2 minutes after I make that change, you were to send an email, a blast email to your members, it would go to the right email address. I'm just going to touch on some things here without going into them. There is a full survey system that's built into this. So if your current system integrates with SurveyMonkey, or you're using it separately and you're managing spreadsheets and uploading the spreadsheet so you can send your survey out, there's a complete survey system that leverages the database that's built in here. We use that in a number of different places, including in membership, where you can ask them questions. If you want to ask them how many years of experience they have in your field, do they want to participate in a committee? Which of these 5 committees do they want to participate in? All of that information would be stored in there, and if you allow your members, they can change that as they go forward. There's a directory that's built into this for your members to find, and we take privacy very seriously, as should all association management systems. We're compliant with the US privacy laws, we're compliant with the GDPR, the European privacy laws, which are much stricter than the US. So one of the things that's important is for your members to be able to say, yes, I want to be listed in your directory, but I don't want my contact information to show, or I don't want to be listed at all. So I'm not going to go into this, but your members have the ability to restrict and limit what's shown in the directory up to and including, don't list me in your directory at all. All of their history is in here, all their transaction history. So if your treasurer is used to getting calls where they hear, you're a 501c3, I want to make sure that I get my tax deduction for this, so I need a receipt, I've lost it. Well, the receipts are all in here. They can print them directly out of here. So you, if you're a treasurer, you're dealing with the financials in the organization, you can just direct your member to do that if you get that call. And all of their history is here. So did they register for events? If you do continuing education credits, did they get credit for that? Did they actually attend the event if they actually registered? There's a check-in desk where you can scan a membership card and check them in, or do it manually by entering their name, and we will look at that as we go forward. So because Martin is a full administrator of the system, and I stress full because you can limit access, Martin has full access to the way that the system is controlled and maintained. All of the member information, has the ability to send emails, to process payments, to change the design of the website. All that's within a full administrator's purview. That's very powerful, but there are some inherent risks to that. So if your treasurer, for example, is not particularly web savvy and you don't want them to have the ability to change the design of the website or to access private member information, you can limit what they see. So I might give my treasurer access to everything on the money tab here, where all the financial transactions and reporting happen. But if they were to click on the website tab, it would be blank. They wouldn't have the ability to change the design, or they wouldn't be able to get into the member manager on the people tab and see all the private member information. So it's up to you to decide what someone has access to as an administrator and what they don't. And that's really important for the reasons I just stated. Now, most associations have multiple membership types. You may have individual members. You may have family memberships where you've got multiple people that can log into the account. You may have corporate memberships where the first member in an organization is the principal, the primary member, but other people in the association also have logins. We actually support 3 levels of membership within a membership type. You can have an unlimited number of membership types. But there are primary members or individual members. There are secondary members, which are sub-members in an account, although they have the same rights and privileges of every individual member. The only difference is the first member to register in an account gets the renewal notice. That's the only difference. But they all have their own profiles, etc. And then there's a tertiary level member. A tertiary level might be, if you're a club, might be a child in a family. It might be someone in an organization, in a business, that doesn't necessarily need a login, but you may want to have that primary member register them for activities or events. So those are all possible within the system, and should be in any system. When I look at what can be done in membership, and I want to be kind of watching my time here, there are only a few things that need to be done when a member signs up on their own. So a good membership management system should allow your members or new members to sign up on their own without intervention of you, or apply for membership if you approve your members, all of which are possible here, or renew on their own without having to get you involved. So if someone were to register, we've got this wizard here that says, what do you want them to do? The only things they have to do are select the member type, accept your privacy terms, enter their contact information, create a username and password, and then be brought to summary, which is either submit my application for approval or go to payment, depending on how you set it up. Optionally, you might ask them questions leveraging the survey system. You might ask what specific interests they have, and those would just bring up checkboxes. If your association has regions, districts, chapters, we can enable that here so that we can support them. They would each have, and I'm not going to get into that in this demonstration. We have other webinars that you can see that show that. But they can select the chapter. They can add secondary or tertiary level members that I described to their account. You can optionally charge them an initiation fee. You might set up a donation that they have to do or optionally can do as part of membership. You may have them sign off on their bylaws or a waiver of liability as part of membership. I mention those because those are all possible. Whether you want to do them or not is up to you and your organization. And I always caveat this with saying this. When someone joins, they will get an automated email welcoming them to your organization, coming directly from the system without you needing to do that. And in that, you will have a link that says, please click here to complete your profile. Understand that the longer your membership application is, the less likely they are to complete it, the more likely they are to abandon it. So these things are available. You may choose to use them. You may require them. You may say, other than that, some of these I'll do and others I will have them do later on. Okay. The other important thing I want to cover here, actually two important things on the members tab, is organizations sometimes operate on fiscal year. So if I join, let's say in January, I'm going to renew next year in January, or I'll expire December 31st. On the other hand, a better way of doing it when you've got an automated system like this, because the system is going to notify people when it's time to renew, is today is January, I don't know, what's today's date? January 9th. Let's say it's March 31st and I join on March 31st. It's good for the organization if you capture that full year of revenue in this fiscal year. So if you set it up so that it rolls based on when they join, it will charge them your $100 or your $1,000 or your $50 annual fee, and you'll capture that in month one, rather than having to prorate and then charge them that additional full membership the following year. So you only get a partial year you have revenue if everyone renews on the same date. Again, it's up to you. System will send out renewal notices on your behalf. Just as an aside, for nonprofits, ClubExpress offers a service, there's a fee for this, where we will use snail mail to mail renewal notices out on your behalf, because most of our organizations we work with either have no staff or part-time staff or maybe one full-time staff, and you want to spend your time working with your members as opposed to administratively printing out notices and mailing them out. Again, that's up to you. Last thing I want to show here is this. You want to grow your membership. So how do you grow your membership? Yes, you've got social media. You're going to have events that people can register for or make donations or sign up for your mailing list. But what happens with those people? So if someone signs up for your mailing list that's not a member, if they register for a public event that's not a member, ClubExpress or a good association management system should automatically capture them and store them as non-members in your database. And whatever you require that they enter would be then captured. So here we've got a full address, email address. This one looks like a live email. Someone put themselves in. But it should capture that information so then you can communicate with them down the road. And we do that automatically when someone interacts with the system that's not a member. All their history is in here, just like the members. So when we looked into the member's profile, you saw transaction history, payment history, event history, all of that's here. If this person that I clicked on called you and said, look, I want to become a member, can you just switch me over? Yes. It's just a simple click. You select the membership type that they're going in. It will charge them the appropriate amount. Right. And there's a full reporting suite in here that we can get into when we get to the question section. Right. Next important thing is the calendar. So a good association management system that has an embedded calendar should replicate the functionality that you've got in these paid services like Eventbrite. So it should be able to put something on the calendar that may be a simple activity like a chapter meeting that doesn't require registration, or a social event like this gathering I've got here at GameWorks that may or may not require registration but lets them know. So maybe you recommend registration so you have an idea of how many people are going to show up through and including a multi-activity event, which would be something with an agenda. So let's open this real quick. This here, I just got an image of our local GameWorks location where this would be held, a link to a Google map, a link to the GameWorks website. Registration here is recommended. And it says that if you go to this, whatever charges you incur, you're going to pay on your own. Okay. A chapter meeting typically would not require registration. So there is no register now button that appears here, just an add to my calendar button. So they can add it to their Google Calendar, their iPhone calendar, their Outlook calendar. Now I will go into this and go into a little more detail. So here is an activity that actually has an agenda attached to it. They have to register for it. You can see who's registered. These are all optional things you can do. We need volunteers for certain activities. There's a volunteering module that's part of this. And there's an agenda. I just made this simple. There's a capacity of 55. Once you hit that capacity, it's going to stop registration. They won't be able to register anymore. But here, there are different fees if you're a member, if you're a non-member. There's an early bird discount. So if I register before tomorrow, it's $200. If you're a member, it's going to go up the next day. And then there's an agenda. There are 2 tracks. I can choose track 1 or track 2. And optionally, there's a banquet. I can go through the registration and show you how it works, but understand that it's just going to take time now. If I were to click on the registration button, it would just take me through a wizard that walks me through, am I registering just myself? Am I bringing other people? It'll bring up that agenda, check what I want to attend. If I happen to choose that banquet, it's going to leverage the survey module and ask me, what do I want to have for my dinner? There's a menu. It'll ask me, optionally, do I have any food allergies or sensitivities? These are things you define and you put in. And then it will bring you to payment. I've chosen to embed here for the members only. They can see who else has registered. That's optional. You can do that or not. And the last thing I want to show you on this specific activity is I've also said, I need volunteers. Now in the member dropdown, there is a link to volunteering that will bring me to all the volunteering opportunities. For this one, it's just showing what I need for this. So if I were to volunteer to help out with coat check, it's going to let me know when, and it's only a 1-day event, but we need 3 times, we need some people to cover 4 hours. So if Martin wants to say, I'll do 8 to 12, I'm logged in as Martin Smith, and I finish it. Notice before there were 6, now it's saying there are 5 slots available. Okay. So this is tracking in the background who's registering to help out to volunteer for your activities. Some groups, some associations require volunteering hours. Some don't require it, but when they want to recognize their volunteers. So we track in the background who's volunteered for what, did they show up, and there's reporting available that will let you know who's volunteered, how many hours. If you want to award people at the end of the year, volunteer of the year, all that information is available to you. Okay, I'm going to go back into that event for a minute. There was a button here that said mark attendance. Now, the only time that would be visible is if you had administrative rights to the event. And what that allows you to do is clearly mark attendance. So if I look here and I want to see who's registered, this is the list. If you've got an iPhone, you've got an Android phone, you've got an iPad, you've got some kind of mobile device, and you've got a membership card with a scannable barcode, you can scan them in. It will automatically check them in. Or I might say, all right, Lillian Alexander showed up, so I'm marking her as attended. All right, she's disappeared from this list because she's checked in, and on her profile, it will show this under the event history. It will show that she's registered and actually was recorded as attended for this event. All right, and that's important to you, particularly if you mark people, you're doing continuing education, you want to know they've attended seminars. It's important for you to know that. It's important for them to know that. There's a full reporting suite behind this also. If I go in here and I go into my reporting button, if you want to know who's registered, who hasn't fully paid for their registration, you want all their details, including what meals they signed up for, if there's multi-tracks or events they can sign up for, activities they can sign up for, who all the registrants are, who you've checked in, who's attended. You want to print out name tags as they show up, if it's an on-site event versus a seminar or webinar, all that's in here. I'm going to go from here into another thing that many association management systems provide integration with other tools. We actually have an email blast system built into this. So if you're used to using like a paid service like MailChimp or Constant Contact or iContact, that can be retired, that expense can go away. Now I came to this, I can go into the control panel. I could have shown it to you this way. Go under the communication tab, go to emailing. But the fact is, I came from a specific event. So it knows everything, not only about everyone in my database, but everyone that registered or didn't register for that activity. So when I go to create my distribution list, rather than manipulating a spreadsheet, uploading it into MailChimp, and then sending things out, note that the first 7 items listed on this all have to do with that event. So if I just want to send an email letting people know, reminding them that it's business casual for everyone that's registered for the event, my list is done. I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. Right? Or if I want to get as refined as to say anyone that's registered for the optional banquet, I want to let them know there's been a menu change. I can get very specific that way. ClubExpress also, if you didn't come from the event, you just came in through the email system, it would actually start here, all active solo and primary members. If you remember when I talked about membership, a solo member is an individual, a primary member would be the first person in the membership, and send those out and do it to all my members. You will have expired members in the database also. You want to send it to expired members, there's no charge for that. It's part of the system. Let's make up a mailing list. Let's say I want to send this to my associate members, and I also want to send it to my corporate members, but I don't want to include any of my other members. I want to send this to members of the board of directors. I want to send this to non-members who've made donations before to our association or club. We can just keep doing this and keep adding to that list. Now let's save that. Our distribution list has been created. Now understand that since I chose a couple different type of members, I chose the board. There may be some duplication between the board and the membership types, but the system will deduplicate, and it should deduplicate before it goes out. So if you're on that list 3, 4, 5 times, you should only get 1 email, and we make sure that happens. Right. There are templates built into the system, or you can create a template however you want so that your president's letter, your monthly newsletter, all looks the same. All these custom templates are ones that people have created over the years. If I want to send a president's message out, all I have to do is drag that over, and all of my president's messages will look the same month to month, or every time I send one out, we just edit the text when it's time. This opens up our text editor. Right? Looks like Microsoft Word, acts like Microsoft Word, but translates it into HTML code, which if you don't know anything about, doesn't matter because it does all that for you. All your newsletters that go out, all your president's letters, all your invitations that go out will look the same with different content. Right. Let me delete these boxes for a moment. Should have chosen one with fewer boxes. And then if I wanted to design my own template, and this is really important, I might say, all right, bring over 2 images with footers on them, bring over 2 columns of text, bring over my social media links. I might want to attach a document to this. And all you have to do is choose those files either that exist in here already. Let me find one that's, okay, here's a bartender. We looked at the text boxes that open up and how that's maintained. You might want to change the background color of this box and make that red. Right? You might want to change the text color. I'm just going to leave that as is. So you may choose to design your own templates. Once you do that, there's a button down here that says Save as Template. You can reuse it later on. Adding a document similarly. If I do this, I can choose a document out of one of the folders. And just make that attachment. So when someone clicks on that in the email, it's going to open up your file that you've got stored in the document library. But when I send this out, it will optimize, as will the website, for any mobile platform. So if you're on an iPhone, you're on a tablet, you're on an Android device, you go from horizontal to vertical, it will reorient itself properly. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's all automatic. Okay? And then without going into, again, reporting, on a high level, if you've used these external services, you will know that I sent out 100 emails, 10 were open, 5 bounced, 3 unsubscribed. We're fully compliant with the Canned Spam Act. So if they opt out, they're not going to get any more blast emails. They can opt back in if they want. And you get down to the level of detail of knowing you sent one to me. My email address happens to be bob@clubexpress.com. If I opened it, when I opened it, how many times did I open it, did I click on any links in it? All that good marketing information is there for you. Let me just go on a high level, few things. Many of you accept donations. You're a 501c7, you're a 501c3. You can create as many donation accounts as you want. It's very simple. Notice we can do an explanation, progress towards your goal. Here we've exceeded the goal. Here's one where we haven't. The Audubon Society we work with. We've pre-filled an amount there. They can change that. You can leave it blank. The system can handle just straight donations in honor of, in memory of. If I want to put in memory of Harry Davis, right? We can handle anonymous contributions, capture information so you can, as the association, mail a thank you or an acknowledgement card out. If you're a 501c3 and you're able to do matching gifts, capture that information, although you will encourage your member to mail that form in. Let's proceed to payment and see what happens. Right? Martin now has actually had an open balance on his account already. If you remember, the $ was up there. So we will always bring up a statement rather than just the invoice for what they've done, letting them know that they've got outstanding balances already. Now watch what happens. If I click that I'm going to pay this, we see the $100. If I'm going to pay off both, it'll total it for me. Now, as a user of the system, not as an administrator, system can handle credit cards, it can handle PayPal, it can print an invoice and have them mail you in a check. That's kind of up to you what you use. We do integrate with PayPal. I said we're working on an integration with Stripe and Square that'll be available sometime in the coming year. But because I'm logged in as an administrator, what you're going to see is all about receiving funds. And a quick funny story, you do not see credit card or PayPal here, and there's a reason for that. I said this is the live system. You can get access to Martin's login. You can access this and play with it and make a donation. As an administrator, as a treasurer, if you were to get a check, all you have to do is pull this received check down, type in the number. If the member puts their credit card number in or their PayPal information in, this will automate the whole process. It will automatically mark them as paid. It will automatically email a confirmation out with a receipt. The receipt will be available on their profile. Your donation account, financial accounts will all be updated. So if I were to put a check number in and record the payment, immediately that $sign has disappeared. Here's a receipt they can print out. If I didn't print it out or I lose the email confirmation that went out and I go into my profile and I look at my payment and credit history, here's what we just did. So the value of having a system that does all of this without having to use these tools or APIs to integrate into MailChimp, to integrate into some donation tool, to integrate into Eventbrite or an event system, is everything self-contained in this system, meaning you don't have to merge these things together. Everything's handled for you by the system, giving you back the time that you need. Right? We're almost out of time, so I'm just going to share a few quips here. So there are a lot of other things the system can do we did not get into. The member directory is searchable in a number of different ways. There's a business directory that's available that allows your members by type to advertise their businesses and display them. So if you have silver level members and gold level members and you only allow your gold level members to be in the business directory, that's just a simple setting in the back end of the system. We can manage your committees. There's unlimited storage of documents and photos. So there's no charge from us as there is from other association management systems for storage space and bandwidth and the number of emails that you send out. There's no limit to any of that in ClubExpress. And then there are these other tools that are out there. Two important things I want to share, and then we'll open up for questions. The support tab is different than any of the others here. We're one of the only, forget club management systems or association management systems, ClubExpress is one of the only software companies that still has an old style user's guide. We regularly update the system. We're constantly adding little tiny features and enhancements. I'll give you an example. One day I'd mentioned to our developers that if someone checks the box that says, keep me signed in, and people share logins on the computer, there was no easy way for them to clear the cookie and allow to log in as a different member. And a few days after I told them that, this appeared. So if you check that box and someone else is going into their account, all they have to do is check that they're out. We're constantly doing these little enhancements, but regularly every quarter, your management system should, or every 4 months, sometime throughout the year, should be doing updates that automatically apply to you. So every time we do an update, we did our last one on the 22nd of December, a new administrator manual was put out, updates were put in. The tutorials that Alan talked about in the beginning are all available here. So anything recent is going to show up here. But if you're trying to do something on the People tab of the control panel or the Website tab of the control panel, all of that is in here. All those tutorials are in here for you to find and watch. Most of them are just, a dozen minutes long. Some of them are a little longer if they're more involved. The webinars, for example, that are in here are an hour long, typically. So let's go back into donations here for a minute. and go like we're going to make a donation. So if you've got a user, a member, a non-member that looks at this and says, I'm not quite sure what to do. And by the way, these things, it wouldn't be visible if you're not an administrator. They'd just be doing this on their behalf. This help button is context sensitive. So no matter where you are in the website, you click help. Most association management systems will bring you to a help screen, which allows you to search for what you're looking for. We have our programmers take that extra time to tie the help to the specific page you're on so you don't have to search, right? Also, and I'm going to just hit this edit button. The edit button is only visible if you have administrative rights to whatever page you're on. You can go to the control panel too. There's just a shortcut. If I'm in here and I want to add a donation fund and I'm not quite sure what to do, when I hit help, this explains to you how to define that fund, how to create it. Many of these have short videos attached to them to walk you through how to do it. And then the last thing I wanted to point out is this. I'd said that there are no arbitrary limits in ClubExpress. You want to send out 1,000 emails a month, fine. You want to upload 100 new photos or 1,000 new photos. You're not going to get any extra charge for that. It's all bandwidth, storage space, it's all included. One of the other things that differentiates ClubExpress that makes your life easier from other association management systems or club management systems is how help is provided to your users and your administrators. So yes, you can use the help button, but if you as an administrator want to call us, we're located a few miles outside of Chicago, we've got a dedicated support team here. You call us at our number, you email us at our email address, the folks here will help you, but not just you. On your contact us page, and no one else, as far as I'm aware, does this, we provide technical support to anyone using your website. So if you've got someone trying to register for an event and they're not quite sure how to do it, you're trying to make a donation, they're trying to register for membership, and they're stuck, technical support displays our phone number, not yours. So we handle all of your technical support as part of being a customer for ClubExpress, right? So that concludes the main things I wanted to show you. There are a few things I didn't get to that I would have liked to, but those are the key things that are difficult for administrators to do in managing associations and managing clubs that take time that we help automate. What can I show you? What can I answer for you that we haven't covered?
A big consideration for our group is communication. So you touched a lot upon the email management,
right,
and how we can email to very specific groups. Is there a way when you are choosing the groups that you want to send them to preview the actual names of those people who are in that group?
That's a really good question.
I can help address that just a little bit. It's not actually determining right now who's going to be in the group, because it's actually going to determine at runtime who it's going to mail to. So for example, if you say that I want this email to go out January 31st, and I want it to go to the board of directors, it will go to the board of directors as of that date, which may not be even entered into the system yet. But whenever you look at that, what Bob is showing you now is that whenever you've selected anybody and you have a distribution list, it won't tell you who is in the list, but it will give you a preview of roughly what it thinks it would be like today. So right now it shows how many members it's going to send to, how many have invalid email addresses, how many have non-functional email addresses, and how many members are set to refuse these blast emails.
That have opted out.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's a very handy screen to be able to look at. But no, it's not going to give you a member list, because it really determines that list exactly when the email is sent out.
Right. So let me give an example of that. So Alan mentioned, yes, in the basic information button, which I didn't show you, you can say send out the email on January 31st, and you may have new members. I'm using all active solo and primary members here. You may have some that have expired, so the list may change when you send it out, number one. Number two, I may choose to save this. And I wouldn't do it with active and solo. I'd probably have a bunch of things on here. When you pull that saved list down the road, and they'd be up here, whatever is in this distribution list, if I run this, whenever this was created, it's going to look very different than it does today. Because we may have a new board of directors, we may have new members, people may have upgraded or downgraded their memberships, you just don't know. Now, if you do want to know who's in a list you're going to send out today, there is a way to do it. I can go into the People tab. I can go into my membership. I want to be able to filter it so it shows my active members only, members by status and name. All right, so when I run this report, my active members are the ones that would get that email.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the key here is that it's not a list of names. It's a list of query parameters to say, I want to include these kinds of people and deduplicate. So it's very, very powerful that way, because this way you don't have to say, oh, we have a new board of directors, I need to go change my email list. It's simply saying, send it out to whoever is on the board of directors at the time the email is sent. Whoever owes money at the time the email is sent. Very, very nice.
Right. So I had talked about emailings through this, but there are other communication tools that are also built into the system. There are 22 modules that are part of the base system. There are 15 optional modules you can add on, but these are standard out of the system. So there's an email blast system, there's a blogging system, which you can enable just for specific administrators or all of your members if you want. All of your members can blog and share information. Communication forums, we probably have seen in other websites before, which have categories and subcategories, and people can post ideas, and you can opt into any of these or opt out of them. Perhaps you might have one specific to a committee like the board of directors that only they can see, but this also operates as what's called a listserv. So if I opt into each one of these forums has their own email address. So if I am in this do's and don'ts forum and someone posts something to it, I can say, I want to receive emails every time someone posts something to this, or a summary every day of things that have been posted. And then I can reply back to that email rather than having to log into the website. And that would automatically post my reply. So members, this is a way of engaging your members and communicating with each other, not just having you as the leadership of the association or club sharing information, but them connecting with each other. Very, very powerful tool. All right.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Maria. Okay, Alan, do you have anything you want to wrap it up with?
Yeah, particularly for those that are new to ClubExpress and have started using ClubExpress, it's important to go to the tutorials. You can, again, reach them from the support tab. And anything you're trying to do, if we have a tutorial about it, it will be at the top of the help screen. So if you were in any one of the modules and you click on help, in the administration screen, there will be a link to the tutorial. You'll see some of them are, like the event administration tutorial there is 21 minutes. There was a lot to cover there. I appreciate everybody coming. And as Bob said, if you have questions, don't hesitate to call our support line. Our support people are very, very good. Go ahead.
I do want to add, Alan, to your cool stuff page. There are white papers in here of associations we've worked with, clubs we've worked with that have found value and wanted to share it with others. So these are stories that we've captured from people. Alan blogs out here on different things that you can learn how to use this more effectively, different things we put out, better ways of doing it. Any of the documentation is listed in here, our manuals, and then you mentioned earlier the tutorials and the webinars are also available on our website, including upcoming schedules. So I want to thank everyone for their time and your attention that you've given me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you at the next webinar.